If we look into the thoracic cavity between the ribs, we can see the intercostal artery. There are 12 intercostal arteries on either side of the aorta. In the lumbar region, these branches become lumbar arteries. There are 4 lumbar arteries. As we continue to dive down the descending aorta, passing the diaphragm, we notice a short branch sticking out from the descending aorta. It almost looks like a little trunk that gives rise to 3 other branches. This trunk is the celiac trunk. Branching off the celiac trunk is the splenic artery that supplies blood to the spleen. The next branch is the left gastric artery, which supplies the stomach. And finally, the common hepatic artery supplies blood to the liver, gallbladder, stomach, pancreas, and duodenum. The splenic artery, left gastric artery, and common hepatic artery branch off the celiac trunk like the spokes of the Mercedes-Benz sign. Just inferior to the celiac trunk is the superior mesenteric artery. This supplies the majority of the small intestine and part of the large intestine. The renal artery branches on either side of the aorta to supply the kidneys, which are located on either side of the lumbar region of the posterior abdominal wall. Just above the kidneys are the adrenal or suprarenal glands. The suprarenal artery supplies this gland with blood. Continuing down the aorta, right around the second lumbar vertebrae, a paired branch that supplies the gonads of the male and female can be found. This is the gonadal artery. Just before the aorta splits, the inferior mesenteric artery branches off. This artery supplies part of the large intestine, sigmoid colon, and the rectum. If we lift up the aorta just a tad, we can find 4 paired branches off its posterior side. These arteries supply the lumbar muscles and the spinal cord and are lumbar arteries. Even though the aorta bifurcates at L5, there is a branch of the aorta called the middle sacral artery or median sacral artery that continues to run straight down and supply the region of the sacrum and coccyx. The 2 main branches of the descending aorta are the common iliac arteries. Both of the common iliac arteries bifurcate into an internal iliac artery and an external iliac artery. The internal is found running deep into the pelvic cavity, while the external iliac artery is the more superficial of the 2.
Man, these arteries are amazing. I just wish there weren't so many, you know? It's a little overwhelming, right?
Want us more?
What do you think you're doing, Private?
Well, sir, I figured since we finished the arteries, I would just take a break, sir.
Take a break? You must be out of your mind. Drop and give me 20. You still have arteries in the legs, you know. We can't skip those.
Wait a minute. You mean we're not done yet? You heard him, folks. We still have the arteries left in the legs. Just 5 more. Hang in there.
Once the external iliac artery traverses the inguinal ligament, it becomes the femoral artery. This supplies blood to the muscles of the thigh. Branching off directly underneath the femoral artery is the deep femoral artery. This supplies the posterior thigh muscles. As we continue down the femoral artery, we get into the knee region. On the posterior side, we can find the popliteal artery in a region behind the knee called the popliteal fossa. One branch of the popliteal artery, the anterior tibial artery, runs along the anterior surface of the interosseous membrane between the tibia and fibula and supplies the extensor muscles of the lower leg, ankle, and dorsal side of the foot. The posterior tibial artery and the peroneal fibular artery, also branching from the popliteal artery, descends down the posterior side of the interosseous membrane and supplies the flexor and peroneal muscles of the lower leg, sole, and toes.
Oh, hi there. That's all the heart and arteries. We're all done. That's why I'm here camping in the great outdoors. What, you think I should be studying? I know. I probably should get some studying in, just to review a few things. Gotta keep things fresh in the mind, you know? Speaking of which, I better go review some stuff while this is cooking. Until next time, have a good time studying.